Hello, we're here. It's another Fast Panda live stream. You're going to have to put it with me, as per usual, as well as Claw and Ogre, who I'm sure will be adding various helpful and unhelpful comments as we go along.
Only helpful. I can't believe you thought we'd be unhelpful.
No, I can't. It's how dare you assume that we are going to be unhelpful and
I know
disrupt.
you. Okay,
Dear.
so we are going to talk about a few things. We've got the September releases we've got pictures of. We're going to quickly talk through a whole bunch of pictures that came out from the Interplanetario that we managed to snaffle off their old interwebs. And then we're going to have a short talk about tactics.
Short being the operative word.
Tactics we wish we'd got a grip on earlier. That sort of thing. Tactics we like to use. Not necessarily the best tactics. Because we're not very good. If we were any good, we'd have been at the Interplanetario, and none of us were.
Yeah, we would. So that's the thing. If we had picked up on these tactics that we're going to talk about, we would have been better sooner.
So if you're in the chat, shout out, say hi, tell us where you are, and join in. That'll make this all a lot more fun. So let's have a quick look at the releases coming out in September. We have another sculpt for Bixie. Is this number 2,
Yay.
3?
No, this is the second. This is the general release.
This is the general release one, is it?
Yeah,
I
it's
believe it is.
it's so much nicer than the one that you got for winning. Because I've just painted that up because we had a game with it the other day, and yeah, I so much prefer this one to the extent where I don't normally buy two models of the same character, but I think I might actually buy this one because the base is cool too.
Yeah. Well, we got Bixie and Trixie, possibly, or
Yeah, this one's better. Yeah, this one's better with the robot arms and legs, and yeah, she's ace.
I'm still going to claim it's the third sculpt because we've got one for Aristea as well.
Something we've still not played yet because you haven't painted them up. Sorry.
We've played lots of Aristea. We haven't played Defiance because I haven't painted it.
Oh yes, Defiance. Yeah.
I'm getting there. We have the new release for Father Lucian Sorza, who looks really angry.
I haven't got.
He's not happy, is he? He's not happy, lad.
It is a really nice picture, though, isn't it?
He looks lovely, but he doesn't look happy.
Well,
you've got the old Sforza sculpt, haven't you, Claw?
I do. In fact, I have two of them. I've ended up with two painted models because I bought a load of painted ones a while ago, and he was in there. I like the profile. I like to use him. I like to include him in my army list. And
what does he go in for the uninitiated like myself?
Non-aligned armies.
Oh right, okay.
And something else.
OSS get him, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Possibly Imperial Service as well. I can't remember exactly.
He crops up. He crops up all over the place, so he's pretty cool.
And he got a nice.
I do like that. I might get that.
I do think he looks really cool.
A bit of a paint.
Third up, we've got the new Uberfile Commando Quartet, which I think are going to sell remarkably well because they are a very useful troop for Bagoonin, and I think lots of people have been waiting for a new set of sculpts.
I definitely have. I quite like the shark guy. I think he's my favourite.
I'm still not sold on the purple cat, but I like the rest.
What colour would you prefer your cat to be?
I don't know. There's just something about the combination of the pose and the colour that doesn't work for me. I've discussed this before. We then have the new Icadrons and Imatrons, which, if you haven't got them, I think are going to be popular with new combined army players. I'm not sure I'm going to replace my existing ones with these ones.
No.
But they do look cool.
Are we looking at the right pictures, dude? Because I'm looking at the Interplanetario pictures, and none of these are on it. Sorry.
They should be. They should be in the folder under September releases down the bottom.
On the live, it is correct. So whatever he's doing, it's worked at my end.
There you go. The technical problems.
Technical problems. Just bear with me. I will catch up in a second.
So no, I think the Icadron Imatrons. We saw the 3D renders before. The painted models, I think we might have seen as well. But yeah, they're coming in September as well. then we have the Cosmoflot Electronic Stratnik, and what was the other one called? The Doctor, the Engineer, and the two little helper bots for Cosmoflot.
Love these.
The two scutters stab him.
Yeah. This month was pretty much one of everything. Please. I really like them.
I do
the
too.
old bloke with the white hair, particularly.
Yeah, I just don't like the robots with the bows in their hair.
They do look less like bows from the angles in this photo. They're slightly offset, so they look less like bows. But I know what you mean. But I'm probably going to be picking myself up a set of those at some point. Then we get the operations deck and the new classified deck, which everyone's going to want / need.
And mine is on pre-order.
That's because you're very organised. I'm nowhere near that organised. And then the ITS pack for ITS Season 15 with the extra model in there that's available for everybody. So that's what's coming in. That's what's coming in September, which I think all looks really good. Although I am still baffled as to why there's no reinforcements released in September when they knew they were releasing the reinforcements rules in August.
Who knows?
I just don't get that.
I mean, they had to do the ITS stuff, didn't they? They had to do the ITS. The other stuff, though, probably could have waited, couldn't it?
You could have shuffled some of it around, I think, to give us some of the reinforcements for September. Anyway, so that's what we saw. That's what we know is coming in September. Now, at the Interplanetario, I haven't been drinking honest. At the Interplanetario, they did a seminar. We haven't seen the seminar yet. I don't know if it's going to come to their YouTube channel, but as far as I'm aware, it hasn't come yet. So we've just had to scrounge pictures, and we're going to have to infer some of this from context. So we don't have any dates or any extra information other than pretty pictures. We did get a bunch of information about the new graphic novel, Aftermath. So we'll go through that first. So we saw the cover art, what I assume is the cover art again, with Uhahu on it and some sort of underground fighter whose name I've forgotten, which looks very cool.
Bob. We'll call him Bob for now.
We can call him
Slide will come up in a minute and then we can rename him.
Denimert Connolly.
That's him.
So yeah, there's some.
Is it after that MMA fighter, the Irish one who I can't remember? But I don't want to insult him in case he comes around my house.
It could be. I'm not familiar. But then we got some artwork for Uhahu. Nice to see her come back. I thought she's quite an interesting little character.
She is.
And then another sculpt for her. I have the original sculpt they did for her. I quite like this one as well. Although the tactical chair might be difficult on some basing styles. if you're basing your troops in like forest or jungle terrain, the chair might be a bit of a challenge.
Need to kind of put some twigs on it or something.
It's really different. I quite like it.
Denmer Connolly apparently is the other guy on the cover because
I literally just said that.
You did. I thought you said O'Connolly.
Oh, we're talking about Connolly. There you go. That offended all our Irish listeners.
It's all right. You're closest to them. The model for him looks pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm assuming, given that there are going to be models for all these things, that they are going to be coming. We're going to get a box set like we got with Outrage and Betrayal for these, which is quite.
I really like that box set. It was awesome.
Yeah. I'm also curious, is given that a lot of these appear to not be armed, if they're going to be intended for use in Aristea as well, because a lot of them are supposed to be like underground fighters, including the furry gorilla ape thing, which we've got up now, Ishinomori.
Sounds close enough to me.
Ishinomori, something like that.
No, is she?
That does look very Japanesey, doesn't it? That Japanese Oriental kind of lion type face on it.
Yes, it does.
I just don't want to meet it in a dark alley or a well-lit alley or anywhere. It looks terrifying.
It looks pretty cool.
I like that. Did I hear read somewhere it's something from Nomad, isn't it? Somebody's been dabbling in the old Bakoonin labs.
Some Bakoonin juice.
He looks like he might be on a 40mm base to me as well. It looks like he might be quite
I
sizable.
reckon he could be right there, yeah.
And then we have Killjoy, The artwork for Killjoy looks nice, and again, it's got a bit of an Oriental feel to it as well. And I think the model for this one looks fantastic, really cool, really dynamic.
The word dynamic, I think, was used in the planning meeting for this one, wasn't it?
Repeatedly.
Mm.
And then who else have we got? Razor, the Whispering Death.
Oh, I think this one's my favourite I've seen. The render for this one, I think she looks pretty cool.
I'd go with that. She's definitely.
I like it.
She looks intent on whatever she's stabbing somebody. I don't know who.
Yeah. If you're being looked at by her, then
You're getting stabbed.
Yeah, you're not long for this world.
And then we have the mafia boss type model, which we saw previously, which we know is going to be the model that comes with the graphic novel.
Yeah.
Who looks very cool.
Which is very nice.
That is cool, isn't it?
Render looks cool. Love that coat. Looks fantastic.
The painted version looks great.
The painted version looks really good.
She's doing that slow walk down just to kind of like say, and then to shoot you in the head.
Yeah. So that was all the stuff we saw in Aftermath. I don't know if they mentioned any release dates. I haven't seen anything about it. I don't know if you guys have.
No.
Okay, that made for a short discussion.
It
Sorry.
was, isn't it? Yeah, no idea.
Should we have a quick look in the chat for a second?
We can do that. Otherwise, we'll probably get well behind.
We probably will, so give me 2 seconds. I'll catch up. Okay, Jonathan, nice to have you here. Same with you, Hendo P. Ralph, hi folks, Ralph here. Been away for the weekend, no chance to catch up on Interplanetario. Looking forward to your chat. Nice to have you here, Ralph. Steve Cooper, evening chaps. I think we can draw the discussion to a speedy conclusion by simply stating it depends. That's the questions.
There you go.
Mikey R, hi guys. Hi Mikey R, nice to have you. Steve Hansen, just use luck. Hi Void.
That's what he always does.
Yeah, Void is very lucky. Just go back and see the last battle report we released. And Lobo, hi, nice to see you. Alpha strike the hell out of your opponent. Roll crits every time, even better. That is definitely a tactic.
Rolling crits, that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, 5% chance every time. Mikey R, I'd like to think our presenters are actually all in one house, just in different rooms. We are.
Yeah, they don't let us in the same room very often.
Lobo out of New Jersey, USA, because you're ace. Thanks for joining us. It's quite early over there, so I appreciate it. Arrow, I disagree. The IT one's better myself. That came in when we were talking about Bixie or Bitchy. Yeah. Oh, however he says it. Each to their own. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. Tony Howell, hi gang. Hi Tony, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Jason Manning, oh, that's a cool model. I'm going to say yeah.
It's a safe answer to say yes, whichever model he was talking about.
Absolutely.
Ralph saying hi from Sejen in Germany. Thanks for joining us from Germany, from the other way. It's getting later over there, so it's probably going dark already. Steve Hansen, Svora is in ISS. Yes, he is. Thanks for that, Steve. Mad Max, hi Mad Max. In the banana-less Republic of Canada. Canada. Once known as Canada. Yes, welcome to the colonies. The northern colonies that we actually like. Sorry, Lobo. Transbehemoth, evening, folks. We all good? We are, thank you, and glad to have you watching.
We're okay at the moment. Clora is desperately trying to upset everybody around the world, so I don't know how long it's going to last.
Mikey R, I think the best tactic for enjoying Infinity is to buy models that you want to paint. I like that one. Arrow, pretty sure ISS and Tunguska gets the father.
Oh, right, Tunguska as well.
Yeah. Mikey R, it's definitely a good time to be collecting nomads. Endo P, I will be getting my old lucky Icodrons. For those players that don't know the history between me and Mr. Endo P, he wiped out half my army with a 5-point Icodron.
The points value of that
I
Icodron
think
goes
that's pretty
down
much mentioned every week.
time. It keeps going. The points value keeps dropping every week.
Look,
It'll
Mr.
be
Endo
4
P,
points
you're
next week.
reminding me. Okay, Mad Max, I think I'm getting a new Icodron Imatron. Yes, my originals are pinned, but they are only the CA models that I'm constantly repairing. They are a bit
All
on
right, well. The arms fall off a lot, don't they?
They do. I think it's because he's sticking out quite a long way. Arrow, not a fan of Connolly. Looks too much like a juiced up out digger Aristea brothers. I see what you mean. He does look angry, and he probably does look like a digger or Diablo type.
Proxy, though, isn't it?
Yeah, you could use him as a Diablo and all that kind of stuff as well. So there's lots of angry miniatures out there you could certainly use him for. Makia, are the Aftermath models going to be released in a box together, or will they be in a board game? I think they'll do the box like they did last time.
That would be my guess.
Yeah. Void
Board
said,
game would be interesting, though, wouldn't it? Like a little kind of grab the things, run away board game kind of thing.
Yeah. They did say they were bringing out something to replace or similar to Aristea, so something new could be coming along. I think the Ismori is supposed to be a male chimera, but that base looks a bit big, says Void. Arrow, I must just have different taste, not a fan of the Killjoy left one. Fair enough. Makia, I love those dual wielding Kukuris. Was that the dual wielding? Was that? Yeah.
That was the Whispering Death.
The Whispering Death. Oh, that's that. Yeah, Whispering Death, really good. I like that. Okay, we can agree one like
that. Say it very quietly, though, don't you?
Nexus 13. Hi, Nexus. Lavacina strongly reminds me of Zerkova from War Machine. I don't know War Machine enough to comment on that one. Unfortunately, War Machine's kind of sailed past me, I'm afraid. Arrow says, why did she have the skin from the wolf from the Princess Mononoke? Is that a 3-eyed wolf thing?
It's a 9. Isn't it a 9-tailed? Isn't that the what is it? The Japanese fox.
It's got 3 eyes, and I think I can see 5 tails. That might have been though, but
whatever she skinned, it looks cool.
It does.
I'm going to go with that.
Yeah. I think they might be getting a letter from PETA soon. Remember that from Games Workshop? They kind of like petition Games Workshop putting furs on their models. Bless them.
Okay.
It does glorify it, so yes, I can see that. Okay,
so, next up, we had a couple of pictures for the digger that we're going to be getting at some point. I assume a general release digger to come out at some point after Tag Raid has made it to everyone who backed it.
Yay!
Yeah.
Just looks like
I like this.
I like the artwork. Interested to see a render.
Yeah. Nice big hammer. It reminded me a little bit, with a little smiley face, of our mate Maximus, but just in a different coloured armour. Because it's kind of a little smiley face in a great big armour suit.
The face doesn't go with the rest of the armour. I will say that.
No.
We then got
the face. Reminds me. What's the woman out of Aliens that's got? Is it Vasquez with a big gun?
Yes, it is Vasquez. It's the red headband that's doing that for you.
Yeah.
I can see where you're getting that from.
And even then, it's got that Sigourney Weaver and a lifter vibe as well. We've been yellow and
that's true.
And all the graffiti and personalisation on the armour.
In fact, Arrow does say, "Love the Aliens vibe for the digger." So yeah, you see it as well. Yeah, this is. They've been watching Aliens before they designed this one, didn't they? Yeah. What was the development team watching before they designed that one?
So, moving on, we have some more images for this new Hack Islam pack. We got a dossier for the Mueebs that we managed to dig out.
We've seen this one before, I'm sure
we might have seen this one before. A dossier for the
I don't know if
Govads.
we've seen the painted models. Yeah,
And
I think it's the
then
painted
we
one.
have a picture of the 4 painted models that I definitely don't think we've seen before. We saw renders, but not the painted versions.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I think
They-
these look very cool. I'm still not convinced the Govads needed a resculpt. I quite like the old ones. The old ones I think
No.
look more unique to the new than these ones. These all blend together a bit for me.
Am I just allowed to say they look like Hack Islam?
You can say that because it's true.
Because yeah, it's
Well, that's good, isn't it?
unless
That's handy.
you put that down on the table and you say, "Oh, this is this, this is this," and I go, "Okay."
I mean, it's
Yeah,
better
it's
that they
Hack
look like
Islam.
Hack Islam than they look like Pano and then join the Hack Islam, I suppose.
You could just, if you painted them blue, you could say that
Yeah, they are quite similar in a way. The
they just look like the heavy infantry with maybe a couple of wounds and some
Well-
kind of big weapons. So
I think they're all medium infantry, to be honest.
They are.
I think the Govads
They might
have
even
just
be light.
left. They used to have a little coat, and now they don't have a little coat.
They had
So
a
they're
coat
gonna
with a
get
hood,
smelled.
which I think made them easier to identify when you were trying to differentiate them. But they look really cool, and I'm sure they'll be very popular. We then have a dossier picture for a new sculpt for Nesse Alki, the Thrakite warrant officer, who I know you're
Yeah.
a big fan of, Claude, the model and the profile.
I do like her. I like her with a Spitfire, with some
Chums.
chums around her. Yeah, I do like her.
I mean, it's not. This is nice because in the Blackwing box there was 3 Thrakatai, wasn't there? And now
and this will make that core group in the steel phalanx as your second core. So you're the core's myrmidons, and these can do all the things and stuff.
They button
all the
pushes.
things and stuff.
Well, the myrmidons are just going to go out and charge and kill. And these can press the buttons behind them.
Right, then we
Get
have
killed.
a whole bunch of pictures for the reinforcements, some of which I think we might have seen before, but there's some painted models we haven't seen. So starting with Pano, I found that there's a Blade Ops dossier, which I'm pretty sure we've seen before.
Yep.
There's then pictures of the painted Blade Ops, which we definitely haven't seen before, who look really cool. We've seen the renders, but not the painted versions, and I think they look pretty damn snazzy.
I'm kind of liking the Pano.
Oh, that doesn't bode well for me.
I don't know.
The blocker dossier we've definitely had before. The blocker model is something we've not seen in a painted form before, but he looks as cool painted as he did as a render.
Yeah. These all look great, don't they?
They do.
How annoying.
I believe from what they've said before, these are going to be coming in October,
Right.
including the bolts. Again, dossier, which I think we saw before. And then the 2 new bolts, one with a boarding shotgun, one with a Spitfire.
Depending on how much we play, depending on how
just
much
because
we
I know Void's watching, are any of these hackers? just for Void, basically. Are any of them hackers?
I'm not sure.
Just in case.
I'm not sure.
No. Okay. That's all right.
That I
It
think
won't
was
know anyway.
a little cruel and a little possibly too soon.
Sorry.
We then got a dossier for for Agnes Ferreira, which I'm not sure we'd seen before because it's got a coloured in variant, but we definitely haven't seen the painted variant of the model.
That does look nice.
She definitely looks far more capable of defending herself than she did with the model that came in Defiance.
She was, in fact, she's going to hit people with a helmet, wasn't
Yes.
she? Now she's got a submachine gun.
Yeah, it looks like a submachine gun to me, but she's quite cool.
Yeah.
And then the Squallow Mark II.
Oh yes, I'll have a bit of that.
So is this like Silhouette 6 or something? So it's smaller, isn't it?
The original one was it's a mini
a
tag.
big boy.
It's the mini tag. Yeah, I like that one.
AP Spitfire, multi-pistols. It's a very cool model. So it's a bit of a different pose for a tag as well, having both the pistols in the hands. I quite like it.
It is very nice.
It does remind me of the wolf, the thingy wolf, the blue wolf a little bit. I don't know why.
I suppose the
It's
pose
just
is a
got the
little
wolf
similar.
vibes.
Yeah, the pose is a little similar with.
But that's not a bad thing though. I like the blue wolf.
So is this going to be tempting us into playing Pano when they drop in October, ready with some reinforcements? Just to have an
I
excuse?
don't know. They are quite nice. I just don't know whether I can do Pano though. I mean, especially if there's no hackers.
I mean, do you
I do
think?
really like it. I think it's really good.
But do you think the release schedule for the models is going to influence the armies we're seeing played at events? You know, because Pano and Yujing are getting their models in October. Do you think you're going to see more Pano and
Yeah.
Yujing armies in the couple of months after, while we're waiting for other stuff to drop?
It's certainly if they're reinforcement events, I think that's going to affect things, isn't it? I think people like to use the proper models, don't they? And
I certainly do, but
mm, I haven't really. I know we were discussing beforehand the Hack Islam reinforcements, and certainly I would prefer to use the models, as described, rather than proxy everything. But yeah, for me, it will make me wait. I think before I field certain armies, in reinforcement style. But maybe it'll make me buy the Pano one, and then I might actually use them. So I don't know.
So the other
Roundabouts and swings.
indeed, the other army that's getting its reinforcements in October, from what we've been told, is Yujing. Now, I didn't find a lot of pictures for this, so
No.
we got some artwork for the Heitai, which is that the new mini tag? I lost track of
Yeah.
which one was which.
Is that the one with the guy with the sword in the yeah?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the one.
I think so.
So we look at my sword. Is that the mini tag for Yujing?
yes,
I'm going to say
Yes.
yes, it is.
yes, it is.
Both of us are basically just looking at Claw going, "You're the one that plays using. Please tell us."
Yes, well, it took me a while to find the photograph, to find the
Right.
image, but yes, it's yeah, that's the one. Power of Grayskull one, definitely.
Yeah. You'll never take his freedom. That kind of thing.
You might take his biscuits, but you'll never take his freedom. Right.
Exactly.
I think the model looks pretty good. It doesn't look spectacular. It doesn't wow me like the
No.
Squallow Vark 2 did.
I think it'll paint nice.
The thing that
It'll definitely
what
paint.
struck me was his breastplate is quite plain. There's like not much detail on it. It's going to need a reasonable kind of shady paint job, I think, on that. But because it's
that
like
rules me
the
out.
model hasn't got quite as many bits and pieces, details on it.
On the kind of like portfolio type thing, it's painted a different color with symbols like with this unit symbol on it. It looks quite nice. Using that purple and white that they're using for Koreans.
Yeah,
So it
I
will
do
be
quite like it though. It does look good.
Mm.
How many points is he though, Claude? Do you know? Do you remember?
70.
Because
Off the top of my head,
if
70.
you've only got 100 points to play with,
If you've only got 100 points, a tag in a drop shot, because I've been looking at putting a tag in a drop pod for a future game, and you have a tag and something else, and that's about it. It's very difficult to get a tag and maybe a couple other orders in there. So we'll have to see dropping a tag and see how many orders you get. Are they going to be any good? Oof. So
was
yeah,
it a see-through drop pod? As a matter of interest.
it was a see-through.
We're going to move on because I'm not doing that again. So we saw a bunch of stuff for the combined army reinforcements. Now again, as I said, we don't know when these are coming, but given we've got more information, I'm hoping sooner rather than later. So maybe before the end of the year.
December, January, wouldn't you?
You'd like to think so. So the base operator, we saw some art dossier for, which I think we've seen before. And then we saw a 3D render, which I'm pretty sure is new, which looks quite cool. The heads on most of these.
Renders of any of these.
Yeah, the heads on the rest of these are definitely more in keeping with the Cascuda compared to the Exo officer with his interesting head shape.
I'm not a fan of the double horn in a can opener type orientation. I've got to admit, just doesn't look fantastic. But the ones where they've got like an horn that's sweeping back and then just one at the front, it's like the WC Vector operators. I think they're great. I actually quite like them.
So we saw a couple of base operators that got the one horn, one with a boarding shotgun, and one with was it a plasma carbine? With a combi rifle light shotgun. But I think they both look very cool.
I quite like them. They're very Shazvasti to me, which
They are a little close
kind
to
of
Shazvasti.
which because when I first saw them, oh, more Shazvasti, and then I kind of went, oh, no, they're not,
No.
and I don't know.
I just can't.
They might be a little bit too bland.
They could have done something. They could have done a different silhouette. I think the call is the call for this alien creature, but it does fall under the. If you put it with a load of Shazvasti, you're gonna have to look at the horns to pick it out.
So speaking of horns, we have the image for the other or the next sculpt of the Exo executive officer, with his, as you refer to it, can opener head, and this one has a whacking great shield and a plasma carbine. And I am less keen on this one than the one we got as a as part of the bundle. I just think the shield and the gun just look the wrong scale for him. He looks like he's raided the armory and nicked the stuff that's meant for the Cascuda to me.
That arm is going to bend and break every time you take it anywhere.
It feels like that.
Yeah, the one with the gun in is going to be a pain.
I found the gun and the shield distracted from the head for long enough that I haven't realised that he had a funny head for a while. You know what I mean? I think I was too busy looking at the gun and the shield.
I get that he's an alien and he's strong and he can hold the gun out like that and it's not going to be a problem for him. That's not. It just looks like it's the wrong scale for him in that picture.
The gun does look. I think the gun is worse than the shield.
Yeah, that he just looks. It doesn't look physically possible for such a thin arm to hold it, such a chunky gun up like that.
And then we have the Vector operator with the dossier, which I think we've had before, but not with all the weapon options on. And then the render, which that looks insecty and evil and unfriendly.
I think that's the best out of all of them because he's got the robot arms, which are cool. It shows more on that one than it does on the others because the robot arms because they have got kind of like and it shows more on that than the others.
Yeah,
but that's my favorite. If I had to have one, it'd be that one. I think that one looks best.
That's definitely my favorite of the bunch.
Mm.
And then there's also a painted picture of the model for the freelance operator Samsung, which I lumped in here because it's an extra again. So I've lumped it in here with all the other alien bugs.
Super.
Next, we have some reinforcements of stuff I don't think we've seen before, which is the Nomad stuff. Well, we've seen the Rounders dossier before. That we have seen. We hadn't seen the render for the Rounder that's going to be coming in the box with the Spitfire. And she looks awesome. She looks just like the dossier art. I think it's a very cool model.
Your name's not down. You're not coming in.
You're not coming in. You're not getting off the board alive. Yeah. Mafia security at its finest.
Nice. Yeah, simple but classy. I think.
Yeah, really nice pose. We saw some art for the Kulak payback unit, which I don't think we've seen before. Which just looks like a Nomad. Doesn't stand out particularly to me from any of the other Nomads we've had.
We shall see.
Which is good because I like it. And I like Nomads. The Mars Spider, though, definitely stands out from all the other Nomads because it really wants to be Iron Spider.
It does, doesn't it? What was the development thing watching before they designed this?
It looks cool. I think the models will look awesome with that backpack. I'm hoping that one of them is using the backpack to walk and its feet are off the ground.
Oh, wow, yeah.
I think
is it 2 in the box?
I don't. Well, there's 2 that are coming in the reinforcement box based on the information we've seen previously. So I'm hoping they're going to be.
I'm looking forward to seeing the render on these.
Yeah, so am I.
Me too.
And then we had the dossier for the new Prowlers, who again look interchangeable to me with spectres and
The
everything
old
else.
prowlers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not much. Some of the nomad stuff is basically paint it a slightly different colour, it becomes a slightly different thing, doesn't it? Because the one with the cloak or the big coat that we saw, is that not like the puppet master guy?
Looks
Or
a
am I
bit like a
just
puppet
confusing
master,
it?
looks a bit like a Grenzer,
Yeah,
looks a bit like a heckler.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it looks
They
a
all
little
go
bit
to the same wardrobe
They do. So they're
provider.
all the models we saw renders of or dossiers of as far that I could find. There may be others out there, but they're the ones that I could find or were passed to me. And whilst I remember, thank you to Steve Cooper, who I think is in the chat, for dumping most of those into the Discord, so I didn't have to hunt around too much. It was appreciated and saved me a lot of time. Do we want to catch up with the chat before we talk about the Shatterground campaign?
Yeah, that's that.
Probably.
Okay, so I think talking about the model for the leader on the new book thing, with a wolf, perhaps it's an antipode around her neck from Mikey R. Could be. Nice to see it.
That's interesting.
Yeah, nice to see a dead fairy. Arrow saying loving the aliens vibe, as we said before. Mikey R saying Mikey R saying Arrow. We're just thinking of that. Probably a lot of thing. Void saying thank God for no hackers.
He lives in the fear of the Pano hacker now.
He fears the Pano hacker because they are superior hackers. Arrow says poor Void. Arrow says I think this is the first tag that I like that has its main gun slung. I think that's the Squalo.
The Squalo Mark.
Oh yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Dan Fock, hi Dan, says I may have to start a Neo-Terran army. Yeah, I think you should, mate. I am an enabler, and I think you really should. I'd like to see this, Dan. So go out, buy a Neo and paint them up and show us. Get playing. Lobo, it's a guided heavy rocket launcher profile.
It's the Heitai, the Korean tag thing.
Yeah, that would be cool. I'm looking forward to that, to be honest. But I do like tags, and I do like using. Steve Cooper, do you think the Haiti will be in Sayocast?
Yes.
Either Sayocast or that other plastic stuff.
I think both the tags will be in that sort of material.
Steve also says, does the claw just like to have one big horn? Yes, I do. He also says, really like the extra. Not that I'm anyway biased.
Yes, you are.
Because you are a combined army player. You are a little bit biased. Arrow says, I'm not a big fan of the extra. I mean, they're fine for the alien bug vibe, but they're not for me. But in general, combine doesn't really appeal to me. You know what, Arrow? I think we're on the same page there. I've just never got round to it. That, and I'm always playing them, so I dislike them. So it would be hard for me to get to love them.
Says the man who loves a Sphinx.
They're Sphinx. They're space newts.
Okay.
I had to have an alien army, and they were the only one that appealed to me. I don't really fancy playing the space monkeys or the other ones. So,
Terrible.
Arrow, love the Nomad ones too. Happy it's ITS 15 is my Tunguska season. Nexus 13, Mars Spider is the bad guy from the first Ant-Man film. Yeah, I love it. You're right. That turned into MODOK. Hi, CGI on that one was terrible. Anyway, don't get me started. And Arrow said, sad that this year's September campaign, I have no time in September compared to July. It's a shame. But these things, you have to plan them at sort of for 2 weeks. Is it a 2 weeks campaign?
I think they've said it's going to be 2 weeks. So the new campaign that's coming in September, as has been said, is going to be Shattergrounds, again in combination with the guys over on Tabletop, with the war console and everything else, where you can upload battle reports and do all that good stuff. And like you, Arrow, I don't have a lot of free time in September, so I don't know how much I'm going to get to play it. But them's the breaks. We're going to be on Concilium Primer for this one, which makes sense, in keeping with everything that's in in the end songbook.
It's all going woo.
I believe that's the exact wording they use. It's all gone woo.
Whoa.
I'm trying to not spoil things for people.
This is fair, yeah. We saw some slides of some more of the maps. Presumably, it's going to be the zone of operations, the operational zones we're going to be fighting over.
Yeah, I like the artwork. That's quite nice.
The maps are great. I always love having maps and stuff.
Yeah, you like maps.
I do like a map.
I like the artwork of those towers and.
It's probably just my age, but on the map where we have like the island chain and all the locations named, there's one right in the middle which I keep reading as Spandau Ballet. Even it's not that, it's Spandau Better, but I keep reading it as Spandau Ballet. It must be my age.
So true. That's what it says.
And there were some other lovely pictures.
Space station will be made of gold.
Probably. Some other, again, artwork we will get in the books for this are lovely, and the same guys have done some of this. So we got, I assume they're supposed to be some sort of bases set amongst cliffs, drones and stuff. They're really cool.
No, I do like them.
I don't think anyone's ever made a range of buildings that looks like this either. To go for Infinity.
I think scale-wise, I think
scale-wise would be a problem. Yeah.
I think that whole building is your 4x4.
Quite possibly.
You could certainly do the interior of a building on your 4x4. That's definitely a thing.
Well, the art looks very cool. No details really about exactly what it's going to be, but we've all seen these sort of things before. So, and then interestingly, we got two maps of the same area. One which is in colour and then one which is in sort of grayscale, but sort of an orangey grayscale. I don't know if that means there's going to be some nighttime missions or something different.
We shall find out. I'm sure. I'm sure. I'm sure during the Interplanetario it was explained by Boistria.
I'm sure somebody got told something, but I know nothing.
Yeah, we know nothing.
It's when somebody turned the light out, basically, wasn't it?
So they're all the pictures we could find. If there are others out there and you found them, well done you. I think it looks like lots of information got dropped, and it all looks really quite cool, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the year. Should we move on to talk about tactics?
The what now?
Okay. So I'll put my hand up. This was my idea, because there are certain things I wish I'd sort of picked up on and grasped earlier in my sort of playing time with Infinity that I think would have helped me get to grips with the game quicker and get better at the game quicker. So it took me far longer than it should have done to realise that there's different types of AROs. And by that, I don't mean shoot or dodge. I mean, you've got things like your total reaction HMGs and your camouflage snipers, which are what get classified as like hard AROs. And then you've got mine layers and repeaters and the hacking area and the zone of control stuff, which is soft arrows, and then you've got things in the middle. I think early on I was far too dependent on what gets classified as a hard ARO, and I think that possibly hurt me sort of progressing in the game. It's only later on that I sort of twigged that mines and repeaters and stuff in the middle of the board is just as good for slowing your opponent down as shooting him off the board. So it's things like that. That's something I certainly wish I'd picked up on quicker. If I'd picked up on that quicker, I would have probably won more games. So how about you guys? Anything like that for you?
For me, it's very simple. When we started playing this game way back, and you bought me the LF starter box, hacking.
Oh, it was his fault, was it?
Yeah. He wanted us to all play Infinity, and he got bored, so he bought us all a starter box one Christmas. That's how he got his starters.
Yeah, I cheated. I got tired of extolling the virtues of this game and just cheated.
Yeah, and just bought us some models. And it's essentially it's hacking. The whole hacking. It took me ages to get to grips with hacking and how good it is. And I'm still terrible at actually utilizing the whole Space Wizard thing. It's something I don't use enough, and I really ought to. So actually spending time and learning how to hack and how to hack properly would have helped me immensely at the start to be a better player and to be a more efficient player. Simply kind of chucking some pitches, pitching some repeaters into the center, and then hiding, and then just spotlighting anything that comes into that area, and then firing a missile at it. It's a very simple tactic, but if you don't kind of pay attention to hackers and hacking, it's one that you'll totally miss and things like that. But yeah, I would say getting to grips with hacking is one of the most important things there is. Hacking hackers, hacking tags, all that kind of stuff.
Hacking tags.
Yeah, hacking tags. Sorry, Boyd. Is one of those things that you really need to get to grips with early on, and I didn't do that. I just went for the heavy infantry, more bullets, more better.
I mean, to be fair, when we started, hacking was very different to what it is now, and it has changed a lot in the intervening in the additions in between.
It scared me in N2. It was like, I do what now? What? How do I do that? What does it affect? Who does it affect? Which one of these myriad of programs do I use?
Oh, yeah. You could turn off people's guns and stuff, couldn't you, as well?
Yeah.
I used to like ejecting pilots from tag suits. I do miss that from N3. How about you, Ogre? Anything like that for you?
All of that, to be honest. I've written down here, more bullets equals more better, or something, which is basically, I don't know where I got that from. The first thing I've written down is read the mission before you start. Because
I like that one.
Because it's like the number of games I've actually started, and then I kind of thought, what actually is the mission? And I think that was been quite a big thing because I've like started and not really known. And I think a lot of people, I think when you start from other war games, you come in and think, well, I just kill stuff. Whereas that's not actually the case. You actually, there's more to it, bizarrely. And sometimes you can completely die and still win because you've done the mission. So one of the first things for me was, actually read the mission.
So I like that
And
old
then,
adage. When you go into an exam, make sure you read the question, and then read the question again to make sure you've understood it.
Exactly. And I'm not saying I remember what the mission is, but at least I've, at least had a go by actually reading it in the first place. Usually, I don't know whether you guys are the same, but usually, sort of end of turn 2, start of turn 3, I have to reread it and try and work out what is it that I've not done.
It's definitely one of the things that you certainly advise anybody to do at the start of your turn 3. Read the victory conditions.
Yeah.
See where you can steal a point.
I've got the second one is almost one of those things you aim for. Is have some sort of a plan. Is what they're in. So,
what is this plan thing of which you speak?
So, one of the things when I'm teaching people to play Infinity, listen to me for, is learn your own guys, learn your own troops, what they're good at, what they're not good at. What guns they've got. Have they got something? Because it's all about shooting people in the right ranges and all that kind of stuff, isn't it? So when I'm on about a plan, when you deploy your guys, know what guns are long range, know what guns are short range, know what guys are in the middle. And even if it's only for your own army, that'll get you going, at least. At least you'll know roughly where you want to put people and roughly what they're going to be good at shooting at and what they're not going to be good at shooting at. Whereas I do see a lot of people and they arrive at a table at a tournament, they haven't read the mission, they've no idea how it works. And also, even though they've made the list and in theory they've played with the list, they have no thought about, well, where's my long range stuff going to go? Where's my short range stuff going to go? Where am I going to put my guys in the middle of the board? Where are they? What are they going to do? And what is their purpose? And it's unbelievable. Just very basic. Learn your own guys, learn your own team, and what they do. And that's my have some sort of a plan, really. So know what you guys do and know. Don't just arrive and think you're going to figure it out. Which again, I think is something that comes from other war games. Is you just kind of put a load of people down and they just do a load of shooting over there, or they do a bit of charging over there, and that doesn't work. You have to think a little bit more.
I certainly think for deployment, having a plan as to why have I put bloke X in position Y is a good thing to, rather than just plonking them all on the table and hoping for the best.
Why have I put my tag there next to his hacker? He's only Pano. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, Royd.
I know exactly what that is, but I don't care. I'm still going to do it. So anyway, that's my kind of plan. Do you want my next one? My next one, I quite like my next one.
Cool.
You're up. Go for it. You got to roll.
I'm on a roll here.
Yeah.
And then I kind of run out. Then I kind of wander into stuff that I can't remember. Don't get your lieutenant killed on the first order of the game. So this is something I always see.
This sounds like a lesson hard learned.
Well, it is. I mean, this is, isn't it? Things we wished we knew beforehand. Don't stick your lieutenant where everybody can see him, including all the snipers and the XMGs, and then they just get killed on the first order. Don't do that. Hide them somewhere. And yeah, that's that. Yeah, I think I've kind of covered the worst culprits for me about what I didn't know at the start. Because the number of times I've just got my lieutenant killed, even in like tournaments from about a year ago, I still did it when we played it in Sheffield when I was there last. I managed to put my lieutenant just where the bear could get him, instead of nowhere near where the bear could get him. You know, so it still happens. Anyway, I've stopped waffling now. You guys can join in.
I think there are some sort of tactics, general things that people pick up on quite early on that can be quite effective, even if you've been playing for quite a while. That sort of Alpha Strike Rambo unit, that big hard tag bear, heavy infantry fire team, you can just charge up the board and just shrug everything off. That can be remarkably effective, and it's quite easy to pick up on, and it can stand you in good stead. But you then also need to know how to survive if that goes wrong. So you charge your heavy infantry forward, and you didn't realise there was a guy around the corner with a jammer or a hacker who's demobilised you, or all that sort of stuff. So, I mean, I think there are certain things that you pick up really quickly, and there are certain things that I think take time to develop, like the difference between soft and hard arrows for me, the importance of hacking, which you either get told about by a more experienced player or you learn the hard way.
Yeah, learning the hard way is how I've been doing it. I've had many teachable moments from you, and yeah, I think even in hacking there is hard and soft and all that kind of stuff. So he's blowing a hacker's head off, being a killer hacker, and then there's kind of just turning people off, waiting for one order, and then the next order you come around the corner and shooting with an AP Spitfire, and he's just gone out the way. And you used to have a tag, now you don't. And it's hacking like that I've never been very good at, especially at the start. And I think now I'm kind of getting the hang of it a little bit better, especially now it's got a lot simpler. At the start of N4, it was kind of like, oh, there's not so many programs, but I don't think it suffered. I think it's made it better, made it a lot more easy to understand and play in N4. So that was one of the improvements that I really appreciated in N4 is the hacking, definitely.
I mean, I can see, I'm sort of glancing at the comments that we're having. I see that Lobo's made, unsurprisingly, a very excellent point about overextending. That is definitely a lesson that people have to learn the hard way. If you overextend with that Rambo piece, things can go very wrong very quickly. And I think it's something that, with reinforcements, people are going to have to be really careful with. Because if you overextend before your opponent's reinforcements have come down, those reinforcements can really ruin you. If you're in their half of the table, like, you can get got from every angle when you didn't expect to. But speaking of the comments, Claude, do you want to run through and see what other people have come up with?
Yep. Okay. Ira says, I'm looking forward to reading everybody's stories in regards to the September campaign. But if I can get a game in, I'll be surprised. I hope you do. He says, so is this north of where Ravenhide was happening? I don't know. It's north.
It's below where Ravenhide was happening because it's happening on the planet rather than in orbit. That's about as far as I can do.
So they are linked, kind of. Steve says, I'm guessing that the event will happen in the back half of September, just after ITS 15 drops. I hope not, because ITS 15 we're going to be wanting to film the new stuff, and then we want to be wanting to film some of this. It's for contact makers. It's terrible. That'd be bad. Arrow said, honestly, N3 hacking was one of the reasons I started playing US Air Force.
Oh dear.
Nexus 13 says, pitches are guaranteed to roll a 19 or 20 on a dice. As for my Cyber Ghost, as for my Pandora as well, mate. She rolls 19s and 20s when I'm doing her as well. Steve Cooper, I would agree. I've still not got my head around hacking, mainly because I used to play against an Ariadne armor where it's pretty useless. Thing is, you can still spotlight them and nuke them from orbit.
Even without guidance, spotlighting is great because that +3 to hit can make the world of difference.
Especially when you've got an Ariadne army that's relying on mimetisms and things like
that. All them mimetisms.
Dan says, in reference to hacking, tags are the best. Tag in the game is the one that your opponent brought for you. You know what? Possessing a tag is absolutely hilarious for one of you. Hoppy, hi Hoppy, glad to have you along. Always check that the most efficient path to win the mission is. Always check what the most efficient path to win the mission is and how to hinder your opponent to achieve that mission. Definitely worth, if you can't immediately achieve your objective, but you can put something in the way to stop your opponent. That is definitely a good tactic to pick. Definitely. Hendo, my plan is made when I make the list. What happens on the table is just adjustments to it.
No plan survives contact with the enemy,
as they say. Roy says, in revenge, yes. You know your own guards. Is Yara a specialist? I think that was it.
Well, she's a specialist.
Are you sure?
You sure? Nexus says, Lieutenant placement can be a bluff game too. Hiding a decoy and having your lieutenant slightly more aggressively placed might avoid a drop troop surprise, etc.
Yeah.
Playing mind games, that's one of the good things about Infinity with me. I do like to kind of play mind games. That and have a look at a view of the battlefield where there's no models. Every now and again, just put your head down, have a quick look to see if there are any arrows from somewhere that's not actually been operated.
You've annoyed me so much with that.
I love doing that. Lobo, one, as Storm already said, don't not overextend. If you're going to Alpha Strike, use disposable pieces, not a full link team. Definitely. And like Storm said, this is going to be a thing in reinforcements, as we're discovering, that you can't leave yourself out to be jumped on by 100 points of angry opponent.
Does not end well.
Does not end well. 2, arrows should be layered. A sniper mixed with mines and repeaters and short-range disposable DTW models. It's not wrong. This is why Lobo's a good player. 3, the basis for an attack in N4 is long-range, high-burst, very tough model that puts down enemy arrows to an exploited piece, usually fast in good close combat, carrying smoke to exploit the system. The basis for attack in N4 is a long-range, high-burst, very tough model that puts down enemy AROs to allow an exploit. Peace.
So what Lobo's saying is, you use something big and hard, like with HMG with bonus
Can't
bursts,
quite see the end of that one.
to take out the ARO threats. And then something fast can run up the gap that's now been created and poke holes in people.
I feel like I should maybe write that down, you know.
Yes.
I
Copy and paste.
think it would be very handy.
Copy
Yeah,
and paste.
if you've come to if you've tuned into this for tactical advice, ignore everything we've said. Just go with what Lobo said in those 3 comments, and you'll be golden.
Exactly. That'll be fine.
He knows far more than we do because he wins far more games than we do.
So, do you have a favourite tactic, Storm Ogre? Do you have a favourite thing that you enjoy doing?
I love hacking. You know, I'm really enjoying hacking and putting down repeater networks and just ruining my opponent's plans. Just that for me, when I look across the table, I can just see them going, "How do I do anything? If I move, I'm going to get hacked." I enjoy that. That amuses me greatly.
I know.
It's not just you. I enjoy the confusion on anybody's face when I do that to them.
For me, it's the good old werewolf or bear, and just pick left side or right side, whichever's got the best cover, and you just go down there and see what happens, basically. And I think one of the other learning things for me was, you know, you can sit there or stand there, and you don't know what to do. You don't know what to do with your next order, but if you've got something impetuous and big, you just do that first. And then depending on what happens, then you decide what everything else is going to do. So that is my favourite, which is why I very, very often take things with McMurrow in it or a bear in it. Is just because it's almost a comfort, you know. It is the crutch, as they say, just to kind of wander off down one of the sides, do a bit of damage,
The impetuous
and
orders
cause
the brain
panic in the other person, which then calms me down.
Impetuous orders for getting the brain going are great for starting your turn.
Yeah.
Stops that analysis paralysis, and once you've started, that's it. You're off and running.
Exactly. Much better.
Go on then, Claw. You asked the question. What about yourself? Other than, you know,
Currently, I like the lieutenant orders for +1 or +2 orders, and then putting an NCO on there just because I run heavy infantry generally.
Really?
Yeah. So I might have got 10 orders. So having 2 more that I can use semi-randomly on a couple of maybe crit or some Moangs or something like that. Having those extra 2 orders to use on them, brilliant. I love that to it. That is currently one of my favourite ones at the moment. Having those extra 10% of orders on top of what I've already got, 10-20% orders that I can actually use. Yeah, that's fine, especially when you can get +1 lieutenant orders and hide them in the back. It's cool. Yeah, that for me is one of the best. I quite like that. Get the extra orders. So that's mine currently. It changes with a whim.
That's cool. Talking of changing, I think the challenges and how you learn Infinity, things change as well. Because one of the big things I always remember was trying to take on total reaction bots when I first started. And I had loads of trouble doing anything with them. But then you kind of, once you've worked out how to deal with them, with like either go long, go short, or mod them to death, then other things then start. I find like the problems you encounter change throughout your journey. And then you know, the things that you were struggling with at the start disappear and other things, you know, come in. So I know you were saying about, you know, your hacking and not being able to do it, but probably that's, I don't know, you've evolved into having to use it to deal with other threats that maybe you didn't have in the first place. Just wondered whether that was the thing, because I've definitely had to evolve, you know, with the things I worry about, you know. So it is becoming more and more about the Alpha Strike and the tag coming at you or the big thing coming at you and having to deal with that and how to survive that. But that wasn't how it was. I don't know. It seemed not to be a thing for a long time. It's more that's just how things have evolved. And now it'll be how do we work? How do you defend against reinforcements? I guess as things go on, your problems change. I just wondered if you guys had thought, is there anything specific that you think? Oh yeah, I never really used to worry about that, or I always used to worry about total reaction, or I always used to worry about war bands. War bands have disappeared, haven't they? They used to be a thing you used to worry about, flying across the board with like 5 or 10 guys with chain rifles, and that's gone now. With the 15 slot limit.
I think the game is evolving all the time. The player base is evolving. We're all learning new things. We're doing new things. And as you say, we're having to counter new things. So thing X that was scary 2 years ago is less scary now. Partly because people learned how to deal with it, and partly because people have stopped using it. But you can still throw a curveball by doing something that people go, oh, don't need to worry about warbands, for example. And then someone comes along with an army full of
Liang Kai and 2 monks. Yeah, they come running across as well.
or looking at the reinforcements, the Ariadne with the Comlink with the extra models, they can suddenly get up to 17 models again. Plus so that's now viable again to have a whole bunch of crazy Caledonians and then just 1 or 2 guys in your reinforcements. And it's one of the great things about Infinity when you go to and from different tournaments and you play different people. Something that you never have to face is something you'll come across for the first time, and you stood there going, I didn't know you could do that. I've never had to face that before, and then you can take that back to your group and. Or for a couple of months be ruling the roost with this tactic that no one's ever seen before until everyone adjusts and accommodates for it.
Totally. Good point.
So what's the best tactic? It depends.
Oh no, don't start that again.
Oh, he's off again.
There's Lobo's been off again in the chat if you want to put some actual proper advice on.
I'm going to go for Dan first. I'm kind of like I'm a Dan kind of.
He's at your level, is he?
Yeah, he's at my level. The real best tactic, and I agree with you on this one, has 2 parts. First, roll crits. Second, pass your armor saves. I'm on board with this, mate. The rest should sort itself out. Yes, it generally does. If you're passing your armor saves, it will be okay.
Your military orders have an uncanny ability to do that as well. It's really frustrating.
A couple of games, most games. All right. Lobo just says 4. If you use an impetuous model, do not use the impetuous order to move the model out where it was opposed by an enemy ARO. Yeah, definitely go. No, I don't want to get shot. He also says that the face-to-face roll is a base to coin flip. If you win, you've gained 4 inches. If you fail, you lose a model. The risk is not worth the reward. So yeah, good point. You can always say no.
I agree with that up to a point. I think there often comes a point in the game where you don't have a choice and you have to risk it because of the way the game's turned out. You may need to be that 4 inches further forward to contest a zone in the last turn or something. So I agree in principle, but I think there are times, as with any advice, when you've got to weigh it and then make a decision based on the situation you find yourself in.
It depends. He does say it's far better to not to use the impetuous order than use the warband's irregular order to move partially and throw smoke in complete safety. But yeah, like you said, it depends on how the game's going. If you need to get up the board to do things, you've got to get up the board to do things. Dan agreed with the above. You aren't gaining order efficiency if you lose the model on turn 1. Yep. This is actually nice about reinforcements, the 250 points. There's a reason to take Desperados.
If you can find them. I've been looking for a box set of Desperados everywhere. I can't find them for love nor money.
Okay. So that's all we've had in the comments. And we've been at it an hour and 10 minutes.
I think wrapping it up sounds like a. Oh, hang on. Ogre has some advice for everybody.
That was my biggest thing. Don't panic. Everything's going to be okay. It's only a game.
It is. That is true. It is only a game.
It is only a game. So it's okay. Um, Interesting. Just one more thing, if I'm allowed.
Go for it.
I know you're trying to sum up, but then I've kind of gone off on another tangent. Right at the start of this chat, John has mentioned that at the Interplanetario, everybody has won using steel phalanx, or they've done quite well. So what I wanted to say was templates are a thing. Apply templates to steel phalanx and they will go down. Because that -6 mimetism can't do anything when you've hit him with a heavy flamer. And I think that is another thing I have learned over time. Use templates.
Storm learned that one pretty early as well, facing my myrmidons and stuff. What army are you bringing? Steel phalanx. Okay. You hear him tapping away. He's putting all these kind of like template weapons in.
How many chain rifles can I fit in my list?
So, but that's the thing.
So, Claw, any final words of wisdom from you? Oh, no. Well, we may have more words of wisdom from Ogre.
I wasn't. I just looked at the chat and somebody's trying to help you out with the Desperados. And Arrow said the Nazarova twins make good Desperados, but they're probably as rare as anything, aren't they, at the moment?
I'll find some somewhere.
So, Rocking Horse, oops.
My last words of wisdom are: best tactic, have fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, you will learn as much, if not more, from a defeat as you will from a victory. So yeah, get out there, play the game, have fun, and yeah, don't listen to us. Listen to Lobo.
Good stuff.
So on that note, thank you guys very much for joining us for Wittering About Infinity. Hope you all have a cracking week and take care. We'll catch you in the next one.
Thank you. Bye-bye.